Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're feeling great like 5 lakes and no mistakes. And I might even add 2 well-done steaks to that. Either way, hope you're feeling good. Today's video is going to be all about how do you stand out in an interview. So if you got an interview coming up, or you're just in the market perhaps, or you're just looking for tips in general, don't worry. We're not going to waste no more time. Let's go straight to these insights. Before we get started with this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video before we go any further. All right, guys, there's 2 main things we got to do if we want to stand out in any job interview, okay? The first thing we're going to talk about is what I like to call personalized rapport. So typically how a job interview starts off is you get on the phone, you maybe talk about the weather for 2 seconds, some kind of BS, and then the recruiter takes the reins from there, and you kind of just sit back and let them dictate the call, okay? We're gonna break that pattern with personalized rapport. And before I get into how to do that, it's important we talk about this for a second, but breaking that pattern, right? If you do something different than just fall in line like everybody else, now all of a sudden your call is different. You are memorable, you're going to stand out. So by breaking this pattern, we're going to increase the likelihood of standing out in the mind of the recruiter or whoever we might be talking to. So personal rapport sounds like this, and this is how we do it. So before the interview starts, you're going to go to LinkedIn, you're going to see where this person lives, okay? Let's say they live in Arizona. When you get on the phone, the first thing you can say after you say hello is, hey, are you in Arizona today or are you traveling? This is going to let them know right off the bat that you did some research, and most people usually ask like where you live, where are you based, whatever. But if you show up already knowing that, right off the bat, you're going to stand out a little bit, but also they're going to know ahead of time that you did your research. Second thing, after you confirm that, and then they'll probably ask you, oh, where do you live or where are you based or whatnot. The second thing you're going to do is say, hey, before we get into today's call, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? That's the pattern interrupt, you guys. That's how we break the cycle of a normal, boring recruiting call and kind of shake up the recruiter a little bit by throwing them a curveball, because probably nobody else is asking them, hey, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? So after that, they're going to say yes, because no one's ever going to say no. At least in my 10 years of doing this, nobody has ever told me no. So once they say yes, you're going to ask them a question about their career or their background. And in a recruiting call, you might say something like, hey, I see you've been with this company now for 2 years, 3 years, however long they've been there. And say, I'm curious, did you find them or did they find you? By doing this, we do a couple things. Number one, we take the pressure off of us, all right? So we can breathe for a second and just listen to them. Number two, we put them in the spotlight and we let them talk about their favorite topic, which is themselves. This is going to increase the likelihood of you standing out because nobody else is probably doing this. And guess what? Because they like to talk about themselves and that's everyone's favorite topic, they're going to experience a little bit of dopamine when you do this. And that is going to create a favorable first impression. Also, you just never know where this can go, right? If they open up to you about how they got there or how they ended up becoming part of the company, it might create other questions and you might have a short little dialogue before the actual interview starts. So that's the first thing, guys, personalized rapport. Again, it doesn't have to be strictly about their tenure at the company or how long they've been there. If you find something else interesting on LinkedIn or in your research, use that. But the safest, easiest thing to do, especially if they do have a LinkedIn, is to comment on their position at the company, how long they've been there, and how they got in the first place. Now, the second thing that we can do to stand out in interviews is very simple, but very difficult at the same time. The answer here is we need to give answers that only we could provide. Let me break this one down. So, for example, if somebody says, why do you want to be in sales? Or why do you want to be at our company? Most people have some fluffy, generic, stupid answer that everyone else could say. Right? They're going to say something like, well, I really like the culture and I'm really excited by what you guys sell. And it looks like everyone's having a good time there. You guys had good ratings on Glassdoor, and anyone can say that. And if you're saying stuff that anyone can say, you're not memorable. Nobody has incentive to move you on to the next round and you're going to be easily forgotten. Instead, you give personalized answers that only you could say. For example, when I had the interview for the company that I'm currently at right now, and they asked me, why do you want to work with this company? Here's exactly what I said. I said, my big picture goal in the next 5 to 7 years is to comfortably retire my mom. And the way I see myself doing that is by selling 6 and 7 figure deals in tech sales. Now, based on my research, a lot of folks at your company are selling 6 and 7 figure deals. And more importantly, I think you guys have the product market fit to where we can make the business case for 7 figure deals based on the impact that you're driving. So seeing you guys as a suitable path to accomplish my bigger goal is the main reason why I'm interested in working at this company. Nobody else can say that, right? Somebody else might want to retire their mom, but they're not going to say it how I said it, right? So the trick here, guys, is to weave in your personal goals or your personal ambitions into your answers because only you could say them. If your answer is just, oh yeah, well, I want to work remotely and that, no, say, look, I just had my third child. Being at home is really important to me. And you guys happen to offer remote options for this position. I really want to spend the next 5 to 7 years with my child, building up that relationship as he or she gets older. And I want them to remember how often I was home. And that's why I see myself as being a good fit for this company and why I really want to work for you guys. That's something that only you can say, right? Other people might say, yeah, I want to be remote, but they're not going to have that reasoning behind it. So no matter what the question is, try to find a way to weave in something personal about yourself that only you could say. Again, if you do this, it's going to show the recruiter that you're a very passionate person, you're driven because you're weaving in these personal goals. They're going to learn more about you in the process, and it might kick other questions around or give them ideas for other questions to ask you. And most importantly, guys, nobody can copy you. You're really going to be in a category of one because nobody can say what you just said. So there you have it, guys. Those are the two main strategies that I recommend in terms of how to stand out in any interview process. But before we go, and you forget them, let's go ahead and recap. Number one, we talked about personalized rapport. So what this means is doing some research ahead of time. And at the very beginning of the call, before we get into the actual interview, you say, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? Once you get their permission, go ahead and proceed with your personal question, which the easiest one can just be, hey, you've been at this company for 3 years. I'm curious, did you find them or did they find you? And then the second thing we talked about is only give answers that you could provide. If you think about the answers to your questions and they're very fluffy, generic statements that anybody else could say, you're going to be easily forgotten. By the way, there you have it, guys. That is my proven formula to stand out in any interview process. And I'm happy to say I've used this strategy now over the last 7 years to break into some pretty impressive companies. To give you an idea, the current employer that I'm at is number 2 on the Forbes Cloud 100 list, probably the top AI company in the world right now, and very, very difficult to get in. So again, I'm a living proof point that this stuff works, but don't take my word for it. Try it out on your own and let me know how it goes. That said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you're not doing so already, go follow me on LinkedIn. Make sure you're following the B2B Syndicate. Follow me on Instagram, all that. And more importantly, if you're looking for more tips on interviews, sales, communication, psychology, sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It doesn't cost you a thing. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you got some value here. And guess what? We will catch you in the next video. Take it easy now.